Right now, Kenyans do not care about budget, about what Mbadi is saying, and we are approaching the next financial year, where Mbadi is preparing to go and read the budget. But Kenyans are not excited. Kenyans do not even bother about the budget, what is in there. What is really the problem?
First of all, let me say that during Moi, everybody used to put on their radio when the Minister for Finance was reading the budget. Do you know why? They were not reading the budget, they were reading the prices. They were reading the prices. Wanakuambia mkate itakuwa shilingi 50. Hii majani itakuwa shilingi 5. It was not reading budget, it was reading the prices. Ni kama mtu anakupatia price list. Sivyo?
Unaenda supermarket kununua vitu.
Yes. Unaambiwa this the price list. Yes. So that was not reading the budget. But you see what? Moi was a very wise man. That's why Moi was called the professor of politics.
And welcome back to Havana Media. My name is Boniface Owino, and as usual, I'm going to be your host for today. Now, I'm very glad to have Professor Fred Ogola here, and today I want us to do a diversion of our discussion. I want us to talk about economy and budget. I think that is where more so the budget. And just to give Professor a minute to maybe answer this question that I have. Prof, I have a question for you here.
Yes.
That when a woman gives birth,
yes,
and then 4 men comes claiming to be the fathers of the child, without doing a DNA.
Yeah.
How will they know that they are not the fathers of the child?
First of all, there's something very wrong there. There is no reasonable man that should ever claim fatherhood. Yeah. Anytime you try that, you go wrong. And I want to take you to the Moi Education Center fire. Remember the Moi, is it Moi Education Center?
Yeah, Moi.
When the children burned beyond recognition and only DNA could be done, they started doing paternity tests. Everything was going negative. Then the principal called all the men in a secret room and tell them, let us agree. Italeta maumivu sana. Let us accept. Let us just do maternity tests only. And the men agreed in unison that please remove that headache from us. Then another friend of mine who was part of the friend told me that for me, I can never accept any paternity test. Me, I want to die believing the kids are mine. So those men were supposed to whisper to the woman, yangu ama si yangu, siyo kwenda kuclaim. So that's totally wrong.
So a man should not claim.
No, where do you start? You should not claim at all. You should be told. Actually, you should be made to believe. Not even told, because sometimes you won't be told the truth. So, you know, this woman can make all those men believe that is their kid, each individually, separately. And you know what's happening? It brings the economy of financing the child. So you can get money from 4 of them. If this woman is clever, if she's straightforward, she can say the truth. So the truth is held by the fat lady. The mother of the child.
I brought up that question because of what I want us to discuss.
Yes.
And in fact, you mentioned it in there during the explanation about the economy.
Yeah.
And right now, Kenyans do not care about budget, about what Mbadi is saying, and we are approaching the next financial year, where Mbadi is preparing to go and read the budget. But Kenyans are not excited. Kenyans do not even bother about the budget, what is in there. What is really the problem?
First of all, let me say that during Moi, everybody used to put on their radio when the Minister for Finance was reading the budget. Do you know why? They were not reading the budget, they were reading the prices. They were reading the prices. Wanakuambia mkate itakuwa shilingi 50. hii majani itakuwa shilingi 5. It was not reading budget, it was reading the prices. Ni kama mtu anakupatia price list. Sivyo?
Unaenda supermarket kununua vitu.
Yes. Unaambia this the price list. Yes. So that was not reading the budget. But you see what, Moi was a very wise man. That's why Moi was called the professor of politics. Because those things are the people, those are the things people want to hear.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Bon? I'm very happy you're in the media and a very intelligent person. You've done a lot for yourself in the media. Do you know which is the day newspaper circulation is highest in the country? Calendar day from the 1st of January to 31st of December. Do you know?
During the time of budget?
No. The day the Nation newspaper is bought most and standard is the day they release KCPE and or exams. Because kuna details. Mtoto wake amepata ngapi? Shule gani imeshinda? Na umeshinda na exam. So that is the day. Second to that day was the day of reading the budget during Moi. Kutaka kujua kwa ukweli majani ni shilingi 2. Sivyo? Mkate ile, in fact they used to mention even the kg. Ati mkate of 500 grams will go for this, cause remember there's a time actually these finance ministers are very evil bana. There's a time they discovered that the price of bread was going up. So what they did was they lowered the size of the bread and kept the same price. Sijui ile mkate ndogo inakuanga how much? Inakuanga 250 grams.
Yeah, 250 grams, yeah.
It was 350 grams before. So they brought it now and say mkate of 250 grams will be 15 shillings. So unajua sisi tulizaliwa watoto 11. Sasa unajua watoto 11 at any time ile mkate ya 350 grams ikiletwa, the highest you can get are 2 slices. Sasa ukisikia imerudi from 350 to 250 grams,
you are happy.
Kuna slice imepotea.
Oh yeah, they've reduced the quality.
Yes, but they maintain the price.
They maintain the price.
Yes. So because the price, I bought bread at 5 shillings. The youngest, the cheapest I bought as a young boy.
5 shillings?
That's 5 bob. How much did you buy?
I think 15. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it went. Now it's how much?
Right now 50, 60.
No, but it's 65. Yeah, 250 grams.
250, yeah.
So they were increasing that thing as it was 350. So they brought it down to 250 and then kept it at 15 shillings. So that is how these people can be evil. You remember also this thing was done by Coca-Cola. You know, there used to be these 300 ml of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So there's a time when Coke discovered that they cannot allow people drinking Coke because Coke was 25 bob. So they said if they bring it to 250 ml, then they give you 250 ml at 16 bob, isn't it? They are not losing Coke. So that's what they play with quantity and price. Price. So what I'm trying to say is that they used to read budgets, price lists. They were not budget. Walikuwa nasoma price lists are goods.
They were not making things overall.
No one cared how the economy is growing, what percentage. People want to know. Sasa mkate ni pesa ngapi? Majani ni pesa ngapi? Sivyo? So that's what people mattered. Then other people calculate now in hoteli kama mkate ni pesa. So chai na ile chai na mkate imewekwa mayai na blue band itakuwa this much. So the people will go and calculate now quickly and give you the price of tea in the hotel. That's why it was important. Eggs, evil. So now we come back to your question. Why Kenya low interest is that after reading the budget, they don't know the price of the goods and services. They don't know. You cannot use the budget to do budget for your family. Because before you could listen to the budget, useme blue band sasa imepana shilingi 5. Sasa kuna blue band hapa, baba anasema. Ama blue band itakuwa Christmas na Easter. Unaona? Sasa ukisikia tu Christmas imefika ndio unangoja blue band. So for us, like when you grew up, my father was a catechist. So we used to do, Easter was an important feast for him. My mother, the feast was Christmas. So you could see now, because my mother wants to be happy on Christmas, blue band,
Christmas and Easter.
Baba akishamaliza hizo sherehe anakuja nakaa chini, anapewa mkate sasa inapakwa na blue band. na unakula polepole kwa sababu sio mingi, ni kidogo. Sasa unakula polepole, you prolong the breakfast to enjoy it. So that is why budget was so important. Secondly, let me tell you this. I've written a book called Solomonic Economics.
Yeah.
And I wish John Buddy would have read this statement, because the budget policy statement nowadays, they tell you we have allocated 300 billion to this one, 200 billion to sugar, I don't know, 360 billion to farmers. Na wewe ujui pesa sasa inakuja namna gani? Unajua kama ujui hiyo pesa inakuja, so how do you have interest?
Yeah.
You really don't care. Because kwanza wanasema hizo na they don't come. Have you seen this money they are talking about? No. They have allocated this one to the sugar industry. They tell what was Rift Valley wheat farmers nimewapatia hii, sijui coffee I've allocated 250 billion, Mau Road sijui nini. So you don't see anything. So the reason is that people do not feel that money. The money has become like temperature. The budget looks like what? Temperature. Uko ndani ya nyumba na uko ndani ya AC, alafu you hear Nairobi is 33 degrees Celsius. Does it matter? Because the temperature is outside.
Yeah,
you don't feel it. You have AC.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Mombasa, you're being told, you're on the plane, you're landing in Mombasa. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for landing in Mombasa. As we look, the temperature in Mombasa, the sky is clear, blah, blah, blah. The sky you can see. In the plane, which is AC, you're being told that the Mombasa temperature is 33 degrees Celsius. You don't care, because you don't even know. Because when you land, you enter the airport again with AC. Alafu unaingia kwa taxi ya AC. Alafu unaingia kwa hoteli ndani ya AC. So who cares? The people who care are the people who live on the street, who suffer this heat. And if you don't tell them that temperature, for example, if you are living in Magongo, you are living in Bombolulu, you are living in Shauri Moyo, you are the one who should be told the temperature, not the person inside the plane. For example, if the president in State House hears that the temperature of Nairobi is 28 degrees Celsius,
he wonders.
He wonders why should I even know? Because I give the temperature once in his plane. Kenya Air Force, sivyo? See, the temperature is the one president says, weka 20. President anapendanga 20. Nasikia Uhuru alipendanga 21, sivyo? Ruto nasikia anachapanga between 22 and 23. Moi alikuwa anapenda high temperature. Sivyo? Moi alikuwa anachapa kitu kama 25 26 hapo. Sivyo? Na Kenyatta alikuwa mzee, sasa yeye alikuwa anataka kupumua hewa ya nje. Ndio maana Kenyatta alikuwa apendi kufly. He never liked to fly. Kenyatta used to go by road. So everybody has their temperatures. They can control it. So the people should know the temperature are the people on the street. So the people need to know even the prices are the people on the street. So let me go now to the economic science of it. These people do not actually read budgets. They read for us. I told you earlier they used to read the prices. But nowadays they read the budget. They do what? They read the expenditure. They don't read the budget. Yeah, you know what's called reading expenditure and budget is different. Now, let me first of all explain the following. In macroeconomics, there's what called budgeting according to microeconomics, which is what is Solomonic. So a budget involves understanding how individuals or firms allocate limited resources, which is, I call income and budget, to maximize their satisfaction, which means, for example, at home, let's say your monthly salary, let's say, I don't know, let's say it's 200,000, for example, isn't it? So with 200,000, you have to look and say, with this 20,000, what can I enjoy? Ice cream, isn't it? I can enjoy this. So that's what budgets are about. You look at the income you have, then you use your income to allocate that money to what will make you happy, make your kids happy, make your wife love you more, isn't it? And make the neighbors happy. Some people even organize disco dance so that the neighbors can hear the sound of their music, isn't it? So that's what you do. So, and there are constraints. For example, the prices of goods constrains what budget can you do. And that's why Kenyans used to listen to the prices. Not the budget reading. This budget reading ni kuja tu kudanganya watu pesa iko. Na hiyo pesa inasomwanga tu kwa spreadsheet. Hiyo pesa huwa kunanga kwa bank. Yeah.
It's just on the
because for example, if they tell you that the Kenyan budget is 4.3 trillion, sivyo? Hiyo pesa iko kwa account gani? Where is the 4.3 trillion sitting?
They'll borrow.
But even if you borrow, you come out utapewa.
Yeah.
Sivyo? They're also saying we are going to collect there 2.8 trillion from taxes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Na hiyo taxes ina depend kama watalipa. Sivyo?
Yeah.
Now also depends how the economy will perform so that Kenyans can cough that money through taxes.
Yeah.
Wanaangalia payslip, what if wamefukuzwa kazi? Because they are looking at how much you are earning. Now they are going to deduct money from there. Now ukifukuzwa,
how will they get it?
So you see, these things don't exist. These are shams, isn't it? So budget is supposed to look at the constraints. The second thing, I talk about the budget constraints, isn't it? The budget constraints represent what I would call what limits you from consuming what you need to consume. Kuna siku unaweza kuwa unapita kwa supermarket umeona trouser nyingine wanasema unasongelea unauliza how much alafu unapita, inamaanisha kuna constraint.
It happens severally. It happens.
You continue walking.
You continue walking.
Unataka kununua baiskeli unasema how much? 15k. We'll come back tutarudi siku nyingine because that's what I call constraints. They are almost about prices that limits the goods you need to consume. And then that's what we call budget line. I'm explaining these things so that now we go to how budget should be done. Yeah. A budget line is what determines how much you can use what you have. What's the maximum you can spend in goods and services you have. Sivyo? So for example, if you earn 200k, isn't it? You cannot go live in Lavington. Yeah. Because Lavington, 200k is close to your rent.
Yeah. It's not even your rent. It's close to.
It's close to your rent. Yeah, because there are guys who pay 500,000 shillings
monthly.
A month.
In a month.
A month on rent.
Only rent.
Yes.
500,000.
Yes. So hii nyumba ni pesa ngapi? Unapita.
Hapo wezi atauliza bedsitter.
I give you a story, my brother. When I had been dismissed from seminary in the year 2006, I used to live in Jambo Estate. Jambo, the one in Langata next to Langata Shopping Center. Then I wanted to go and do my degree, my MBA, Masters in Kwea. So I started looking for a house. You see, next to Dam Estate, kuna Jonathan Ngeno. So I was walking down with a nyumba. How much is it? Naambia, hii nyumba, 1 bedroom is 25k. Sivyo. Hapo unapita. Because it is not in your budget line. You know, what is not in your budget line, you don't buy. You understand me? Yeah. So fundamentally what I'm trying to say in short is that budgeting according to Solomonic economics must be in line with microeconomic. It should affect the citizens microeconomically. After I read the budget, people should know whether they are going to have 3 meals a day or 2.
Or 1.
Or 1 or none. You get me?
Yeah.
People should know whether they can take kids to school or not. After budget reading, you should know whether you have to have kids or you won't. Whether you marry this year or you postpone. So this budget we read do not affect people directly microeconomically because they read a macroeconomic budget.
So let me ask you, Prof. So budget should be is the key determinant on how a family should be run financially.
Yes. But not just a family, also a company.
A company.
But not just a company, also a country. If Kenyans collect revenue of 2.8 trillion, why don't we start budgeting with 2.8 trillion instead of starting from 4.3 trillion? So first of all, I'm trying to say the budget should be able to be used to determine, you should have a feel of the budget, how it's affecting your daily life. Not that for you, the budget is red, you don't know how it affects you. Like this guy say, mafuta imepanda with 2 shillings to per liter, isn't it? Then you cannot calculate how that affects you. Of course, only fuel you can budget with, but now the fuel affects everything else in the economy. So that's what I'm trying to say, it should be microeconomic. The second thing I wanted to highlight here is that we need to read the budget according to regional budgets rather than national budgets. Now, when someone sits in Nairobi and reads a budget without having a picture of Turkana, do you think they're helping Turkana?
They're not.
When someone sits, you say, have you gone to Mbadi's office?
I just passed by it.
Mbadi's office is not a joke. You walk. When you are entering, unatembea mpaka na kona as you are making around 15-20 footsteps. Because the space is big. Kama we ni shy, unaweza anguka kabla hujafika. No, there's a time when I was a young boy, I went to Marambi's office. He was the CEO of National Bank. When I was ushered in, the door was open. I saw the distance until I got shy. But you know, you walk, imagine somebody is coming and you are being watched walking. It's like our villages in Ugenya. Mtu akiingia kwa gate, hata unampanga kabla hajafika. Unaona anatembea, anasema huyu jamani kama anataka kuniomba pesa.
Just see the stress.
Sasa unaanza kumwambia bana, mazee bana, umepotea bana, niko na shida mingi, ulikuwa wapi? You know, someone walking with money in their pocket, you can tell.
Yeah.
Mwenye hana pesa akitembea, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell. You know, you have a certain courage. Yes,
money gives you some certain courage.
Today go home, and in a certain way, your wife will tell you that, are you okay? She will notice that there's something in you which is missing. So, your wife, by the way, your wife knows when you have money and when you don't have. And you can't pretend about it. Because they say, kila mwanaume, akona sauti.
Yeah.
Lakini pesa ndio volume. Even how you say, hi babe, itajulikana akona pesa. So what I'm trying to say in short, we need to do what is called regional budgets first. Solomonically, before you do national budget. Why? The simple explanation is this. We do national budgets pretending we are focusing on national priorities. But actually we are focusing on political what? Priorities. But if you go to Turkana and check what's happening, you go to Taita Taveta, you go to Kilifi, you go to Magarini, unaingia Kibokoni huko ndani, you go to Magarini, you see what are people suffering from, then you can actually know that, but not just suffering, but also opportunities that should you put money on them, people can start getting, let's say, better livelihoods. For example, if you go to Lamu, people who are fishing in Lamu, should you just go and say, let me do cold storage along the Lamu ocean, isn't it? Or you go to Kisumu and look at those people who are doing fishing. Instead of John Mbadi saying he's a CS treasury, and he has not put in his budget, isn't it? The cold storage for lures who are fishing in Homa Bay, in Kindu Bay, then he's not a finance minister. He is Ruto'S minister, not finance minister. A minister for finance should be concerned about how the finances are lifting people, not how the finances are making Ruto happy. Look here. Why I'm saying that the budget that even John Mbadi is drawing is a political priority budget. Are you seeing the things that are happening in Kenya which were not in the budget for 2024, 2025? Do you know them?
No.
This trip in Mount Kenya.
Yeah, the trips.
Was it in the budget?
No, it was not.
Impeaching Gachagua.
It was not.
Was in the budget?
No.
Swearing in Kindiki. Was in the budget?
No.
Changing ministers. No, when a minister is changed, they are paid.
They are paid, yeah.
Isn't it? So if you change ministers every 3 months, isn't it? Do you know how much the country suffers just by changing ministers the way you want? Like now I've just seen he has fired Nyakera and replaced Nyakera with somebody else. Now Nyakera has a contract which must be paid for.
Yeah.
Or were all these budgeted for? Did Mbadi write the following people will be fired in 2024-2025 budget? So those are what I call political priorities budget than economic budget. And I tell you, the Kenyan problem is economic. It's not political. So when you are moving money from the economic basket and putting them in a political basket, it's a non-priority budgeting and spending. So that's what I'm telling you, those people don't read budget, they read expenditures. You get me? Maybe they gave provisions for the president firing people.
Yeah.
Why should you fire people? Like in football, a player can get injured and they'll still stay without going away because firing players or replacing players is quite expensive. Yeah. Because if a player has 5 years contract, earning £350,000 to £350,000 per week. If you fire that person, you pay that money for 5 years. Yeah. So we are looking at a point whereby we need to have regional priority budgets. So regions builds up to the national.
Now you've mentioned the issue of regional. We have 47 counties.
Yeah.
And these counties have got different population.
Yeah.
Like you find that I think the most populated region or county is Central. If I'm not
Actually,
wrong.
Nairobi.
Yeah, Nairobi and then Central.
But Nairobi and Central, you can't, because Nairobi gets a deficit of 1 million people at night.
At night, yeah.
Because there are people who come from there to invade the people in Nairobi.
Yeah, to invade and then go back.
Then they go back at night to sleep in the other counties.
Yeah. So you can't compare this with Turkana. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say, region here, when I was doing the Azimio Regional Manifesto, we put Kenya into 4 regions because those are the economic bloc. These are more tribal blocking and bankalization. These 47 counties, if you ask me, we should go back to the original 8 provinces to become counties and kill these counties and actually create the other, what now we are calling wards, should even be merged together and we create constituencies and reduce the number of MPs. For me, it does not make sense to have 390 people sitting down to discuss a finance bill. Because some of them don't. Like, you have so many members of parliament who don't speak.
Some of them don't even attend. People like Oscar Sudi.
People like Alado. Have you had Alado even introduce himself in parliament?
No. TG Kajwang.
Yeah, so those kind of people. So I'm saying we believe that we need to have a lean and clean government, which is not just national government, executive, but also we need it to be in the county assembly, in the national assembly. I believe on somebody called Jose Maria Escriva. When I was in Strathmore, I used to read him a lot, but I still read him anyway, because leaving Strathmore does not make me leave my faith. Jose Maria Escriva says, give me a few good people and I will change the world. You just need a few good people and you change the world. Unfortunately, Ruto have so many bad people and he can't change Kenya with them. Tell me anybody near Ruto whom you'll say this is a good man.
It's very difficult.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying
there might be, but
there might be, but I'm looking. Because let me tell you what, Bon. Do you know how much incompetence attracts incompetence very easily?
Birds of the same feathers flock together.
Yes. Yeah. And do you know how much competence attracts other competence? Have you heard those things?
Yep.
So what I'm trying to say is that the fact that the president is grossly incompetent, he attracts more incompetent people because they think together and they are not a threat to his incompetence, isn't it?
Is that the reason as to why he's trying to fire people that
if you try to show you have any competence, go home. So the best qualification to serve in Kenya Kwanza government is to be incompetent. That's why I tell people I cannot serve in the government. Even if you appoint me, I will not bother myself. At the same time, the president is grossly corrupt. So he also, in equal measure, attracts very corrupt people next to him. Look at the most expensive cabinet in the history of Kenya. The net worth is now 19 billion. Yes, because we now have 5 billionaires in the cabinet. People like Aden Duale and Ichung'wa were not billionaires. Now they have crossed the billionaire mark.
The class of the billionaire.
So you see, when you are grossly incompetent, you attract very incompetent people. When you are grossly corrupt, you attract very corrupt people. When you are highly competent, you attract competent people next to you. So that's what is happening now, and it's a cause. So let me go back again to what I've told you. Another thing we have to consider, and this is where the hallmark comes from. If you want to budget in this country and take this country forward, they should know what a budget is. And I told you about the budget line and constraints, isn't it? Now, if you know very well, you are going to collect 2.7 trillion Kenya shillings from KRA this year. What Mbadi or the CS Treasury should be telling us, how can you use this money so that you can grow the economy and make more money with it, isn't it? So that you can employ more people, you can offer healthcare, isn't it? You can offer free education or at least support the infrastructure project which is going on. But they don't look at it that way. They are just looking at how much money can they collect and how much money can they borrow. And they look at The maximum. That's why they use the credit card to the limit. It's like sahi ukipatia bibi yako credit card. Anaenda ana spend kwa hiyo mpaka anakuletea kama sasa inaonyesha it cannot swipe anymore.
It cannot swipe anymore.
Sivyo? Yeah. So you cannot use the credit card that is now borrowing to the limit. Yeah. So then they say now we need to borrow somewhere to repay somebody so that then we can afford again to borrow from that person. It's like digging a hole to fill a hole. So let me tell you what, my brother. If you are starting a business, and let me go this how I'm talking about, we need to have a private sector driven budgeting process. If I give you a capital of 3 million, I give you a capital to start an NGO with 3 million shillings. So you have to make impact and raise funds. What should you be doing? You should be asking, if my budget for my organization, my expenditure is supposed to be 3 billion, it's supposed to be 7 billion. How can I spend the 3 billion to create 7 billion so that I can actually be able to meet my needs and expectations and satisfy my stakeholders? I'll tell you an example. You know, for me, when I talk about economics is not something that I only learned from school. Economics is something also that I saw in my own family. My father was a catechist. He used to earn 1,500 every month. Then my mother used to tell my dad, because this money is not enough for the family, give it all to me. Sasa baba alikuwa anatoka kutoka kwa mshahara,
ana hand over mama
1,500 in an envelope vile imeandikwa na father, because priest anaandika mpaka anaweka msalaba. So ukitoa itajulikana. Yes. So when he gives my mother the envelope with 1,500, now mother says, the total expenditure for the family every month is 4,500. So my mother will take this money, go and buy omena, go buy nyanya, go buy kitungu, go and get maize from Busia, sell them in Gera market, so that you multiply this money,
you get the 4,000
to be 4,500, then the family is happy. So if I was the CS Treasury, I would say I'm collecting 2.7 trillion shillings from Kenyans. But this is not enough for us to survive as a country, isn't it? Now, where do I take this money to generate the 4.3 trillion that I need so that people can survive? Not by starting by saying, oh, in Canada we can borrow this, in US we can borrow that. Now huyu jamaa tunaweza kumkata hivi, this guy tumkate yale, paka payslip means nothing. Give back Kenyans back their payslip. We lost our payslip long time ago. So budgeting according to Solomonic means take the money that you have, see how you can use that money to meet your needs with budget constraints, like I said, limits, isn't it? And within your budget line. Kenya's budget line is 3.8 trillion now annually, isn't it? If you don't produce anything, if you do not generate anything, you should only spend that money. But you should not spend more money. Like now, if I become president, I will put an executive order and I'll consider it illegal to borrow money which you want to pay during your term. Yes, you cannot borrow money that you can't pay. It's illegal.
Who are you leaving that?
Whom are you leaving that debt to pay? Because in basic human manners, my mother and father taught me, Fred, leave every place better than you found it. Sasa wewe uko hapa Havana Media. Wewe utatoka kama glasses zimevunjika, sijui nini imeharibikiwa, sijui TV haizi fanya kazi, umevunja microphone, alafu nasema mimi naenda. Hautaenda. So what I'm trying to say here is that as when Moi left, isn't it? Our debt was not even a trillion. When Kibaki left, it was around 1 trillion point something, isn't it? Now, when Wakina Uhuru left, our debt was hitting around 7 something trillion, isn't it? Now this man has taken us to 13 trillion. So he is borrowing more and increasing our debt burden, and he's leaving it to who to pay. Now we are saying must go, but must go has left us something that also must go. This debt must also go. And I want to tell people, actually I'm preparing a bill to go to the National Assembly. that we should pass the Finance Act that if you found 11 trillion debt, now it is 13 trillion debt,
13.
leave it as 11. Yeah. Look for how you are going to generate revenue, make the economy more productive, isn't it? Make the economy generate something, pay some debts, and then leave. Like, in the US, they talk about generational wealth, generational debt. Let's say your grandfather went and bought a house, which is worth $20 million, isn't it? Now, your grandfather will pay until the debt comes to something like $12 million, but the house belongs to the family, isn't it? Then your father inherits that house, isn't it? Pay it, alafu anawacha kama something $6 million, isn't it? Then you finally clear it. Then you leave to your children a house which has no debt. But for us here, instead of reducing the debt, we are increasing it and leaving to somebody a higher burden. Like now, Ruto is saying, Uhuru left him a bigger debt. Then Uhuru is saying, Kibaki left him a bigger debt. Why should they leave the debt?
And then you'll say Ruto left me a bigger
No,
debt.
for me, I won't do that. I can tell you. Most of this debt is odious debt. We've been discussing this. The Kio Mtata has explained it. Myself, I explained it. I've even gone to court for a debt review. So, in short, budgeting in Kenya is not done the right way. They give you expenditure. They don't tell you the budget. The right is, what will you do with what you have towards what you want to gain? Budget is, again I repeat, how to spend what you have towards what you want to achieve. Not how to spend what you don't have towards what you want to achieve. And then budget should be done according to economic priority, which should be done according to the grassroots level and go. For example, my father used to do something simple. After the money has come out, mama has generated the 4,500, he will start, nani anataka uniform, nani anataka kitabu, kuna mtu anataka loka. So after that, kids will take their budget to my sister called Francisca. Then Francisca will write our budget down. Sivyo? Anapelekea mama. Sivyo? Approved by daddy. Sivyo? That's for the kids, isn't it? Mama atatengeneza budget yake. Sivyo? Baba ilikuanga ya kunyoa nywele. Imagine, man, you work so hard as a man.
And then the only thing you do...
Nipatie hiyo pesa ya kunyoa nywele. Lakini wewe umefanyia kazi. But that's what happens.
But the mother is the one that at least done the big.
No, but I'm saying, men, sorry to say, but let me tell you, my brother, most men work, na money inakuwa chop na mgeni. In fact, being controlled. Like you see, there's what they call fast charge in the budget. When you earn your money, what do you buy first? What do you sort out first?
Me?
Yes.
Tithe. Immediately after that is the first thing that I learned to do.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You are a good boy. Not many people are like that. For us, kwanza tunapatia Ruto, sivyo? Baadaye ndio tunaingia tithe kidogo, lakini siku hizi hatutithingi sana kwa sababu pia uchumi ni mbaya. First charge inakuanga budget ya mama. I'm telling you. If you have not given the wife her budget which covers the kids, huyu anakulanga chips mara 2 kwa wiki, huyu anataka sausage, sivyo? Wanakuwa sorted, wifi iko because they want to play with those gadgets. Yeah. Those are the first charge bwana. Kwanza before you give the tithe unaona kama utabaki na kitu ya kusort. So that's the first charge. In Kenya, according to the finance policy, the first charge should be pay your debts. Again, I go there. I want to give a petition to Parliament to solve this as an emergency, that they must have the first charge to pay the pending bills first. Why should you read a budget to pay the future bills when the past bills have not been paid? No, let's be honest, my brother. Wacha nikwambie sahi. Ukikopa sahi pesa kwa bank, sivyo? Mshahara ikiingia inaenda ikienda. Sivyo?
Yeah.
To pay the previous
debt.
We should not allow the members of parliament to pass a budget without provisioning for pending bills. I'm going to court. No, it's allowed because in the finance policy that's called fast charge. Fast charge is when you get the money, you should pay the most urgent and promising, pressing needs first. Kama kuna mtu aliuza chai kwa serikali, Kwa sababu kuna mama wanauzanga sukari, chai kwa serikali, waleta mandazi, you supply vegetables, you supply stationery, like you apply vegetables to public county governments, you supply food to schools, isn't it?
Schools, yeah.
Na hujalipwa,
and it's still
na ushapeana.
Yeah.
But somebody gives budget for expenditures in the future. Na yako hajalipwa. But hata wewe ni pastor. Jesus was very clear. When you go to give your offertory before the temple and you have something against your brother,
wachana na kitu hapo, kimbia.
Wacha chini hapo.
Kimbia.
Nenda usort yule jamani urudi weke wako. So this is what these people are not following, and they're telling us they're following the Bible. But they go to church every day and preach. I like what Pastor Lai said. Mtu ambaye anatoa matusi anakuja kutufundisha kanisani. No, in fact, politicians should never preach to anybody in the church.
And I wonder why they are normally given pulpits to preach.
Because they stand to actually talk against each other and insult each other for. Well, I'm a politician, but for me to go to church, I'll be going to pass the message that needs to go to the people, not to go to against people. So what I'm trying to say in short is that we need to pass this law that you cannot provision for expenditures for the future when the current one has not been paid. So in the budget policy statement, how much has John Mbadi allocated to settling the pending bills? While pending bills are making people hang themselves, breaking families, people are in depression, isn't it? Companies are losing jobs. People are being chased away from a place of work. While for you are telling us that unataka kujenga reli na pesa. Na reli, bado hiyo reli hakuna mtu amelipa. Hakuna mtu amefanya kazi, sivyo? Your paying goes to workers, but you are not paying pending bills and pending wages. It should be illegal. Thank you, my brother.
Now I want to ask you this last question as you wind up.
Yeah.
You, let's say for instance, you get an opportunity to become the president of the sixth, the sixth president of the Republic of Kenya, and it's good that you are an economist. And the most challenging thing in this country right now is about economy, because we have leaders who are politicians.
Yeah.
And remember that we are the people that employ them. So suppose you are employed by Kenyans to work for them.
Yeah.
I've seen something. I've noticed something with the current regime. I find that they're increasing the high rate, the standard. The standard of living is high because they think that maybe ukiongeza bei ya chakula now will collect more tax. How are you going to sort, just in 1 or 2 minutes, how are you going to sort this issue? Like, instead of, because you think that by increasing the budget, the prices of things, you collect more tax. How
no, we have actually, I'm the one who explained this during the finance bill about the issue of stagflation. You are taxing somebody who already have more tax burden. Unemployment is high, isn't it? Cost of living is very high, and you're increasing, you suffer from what's called stagflation. Stagflation is whereby there is no increment in total revenue collected by increasing taxes. Like now, if we just look at statistics, and I don't lie, the income tax, money we receive from income tax has gone down by them raising taxes because it becomes more expensive for the private companies to create employment when taxes are very high. But this question cannot be answered just this way by lowering taxes.
Yeah.
What do Kenya need? The Kenyan problem is economic, not political. So I will actually give the political, I will give the economy the priority. In fact, in my government, if I hear any minister campaigning, I'll ask them, he's campaigning to look for what? And he has it. How can a minister stand in a place to campaign for a government in power? It's illegal. It's like, let me tell you, my brother, of course, I've been told in marriage, you always have to continue courting your wife forever, isn't it? But why are you playing too hard to please your wife when she's already at home? Isn't it? Why don't you just work on her priorities rather than trying to cheat her, even that, I will allocate nimetenga. Just please her there. So first of all, it should be illegal. So what I'm trying to say, I'll focus on the economy. And I can tell you, currently, what are the problems of the economy? One is that we have high interest rate. When there's a high interest rate, there's high cost of capital, which is used to measure the profitability of business. So businesses are less profitable now because there's high cost of capital. Everybody in Kenya is pretty surviving, whether you are an employee or you are an employer. You are all surviving. So you have to lower the interest rate. Secondly, you have to lower the exchange rate. Mbadi says should remain at 130. I disagree. It should be even lower than the dollar. It should be stronger than the dollar.
Yeah.
Even the pound should be stronger. Should not be low. It should not remain at 130. Thirdly, what you need to do is you have to ensure you lower inflation. The other thing you have to do, you have to create employment so that money is in people's pocket. But that's what I mean by this is that we can't do all these things if we only have two tools. Mbadi only uses two tools. Even not just Mbadi, but all the previous governments, they use taxation and borrowing as a tool to generate money. It does not happen. What I will do, because the youth unemployment, I said, is 60% unemployment, 20% underemployment, growing at 33.4%. What I'll do is that we need an economic miracle. Kenya is ripe for economic miracle. And that's why I proposed in my Solomonic economics to create commercial communal enterprises where I'll set aside 100,000 acres of land per county for agricultural large-scale manufacturing and production, isn't it? Value addition for domestic and export. Now, if you set aside 100,000 acres of land per county, I only know that there are only 42 counties that can qualify because some of them are too small, like Nairobi, Vihiga, Kiambu, Mombasa, isn't it? And a few others, isn't it? So there are only 42. Do you know that if you put aside that one for agricultural production, let's talk about just producing avocado, isn't it? Producing what? Avocado, which can be eaten locally and can be exported. You will employ 2 workers per acre. So if it is 100,000 acres, if you employ 2 workers per acre, you are generating 200,000 jobs per county. Do you know you have solved an employment problem? Now, when these people are earning 30K per month, isn't it? You'll get PAYE. You'll get PAYE of 9,000 per month per employee, isn't it? So that will be 18,000 per acre. If you multiply by 100,000, isn't it? If you multiply by 100,000 acres, you are now doing 1.8 billion in revenue, isn't it? Per month.
Per month.
Yes. If you multiply by 12, isn't it? The figures are high, isn't it? It's high to something like 3.6 billion shillings. 3.6 billion shillings per county per year. 36.4 billion shillings per county. Now, if you multiply this by 42 counties, you are doing something like 1.89 trillion shillings. And that is tax given from what you could have not generated. When you generate a lot of goods you produce, inflation goes down automatically because inflation about supply and demand. When you have more goods and you have less money, inflation goes down because supply and demand forces. So you kill inflation, and when inflation is low and you're exporting more, people buy more Kenya shillings for the exports they want to take outside. So the exchange rate also becomes strong because when your currency is in high demand, the currency grows in strength. Why is the dollar strong and the pound? Because many people need the dollar to do many things. And when the dollar is in high demand, then the dollar becomes stronger than Kenya shillings. We must make Kenya shillings in high demand. That mtu wa Uganda anaitaka.
Everybody needs
Somalia anaitaka. Somebody in Iran wants Kenya shillings because you need Kenya shillings to import through your country. So all this can be solved in a mathematical equation. And then offer free healthcare, offer free education, so that people have surplus in their pocket, so that businesses can work. But here, kila mtu kobro, kila mtu pesa yake imeshikana mahali. Sasa kila mtu akamwambia mimi, sasa hivi tuseme nimekuambia nitakupatia 100k, sivyo? Then you promise Omao there, I'll give you 100k. If I'll give you 20k if Fred gives me 100k. So then Omao promise somebody I'll give you 2k if Bonnie gives so me. So we have a line of 20 people depending on one person, and Fred is depending on government or county government. So suppose the government fails, all these people fail and they're in trouble. They're just walking on the street here with a lot of debt in their head. So every Kenyan is walking with the debt in their head. Mortuary bill, healthcare bill, education bill. In fact, this time I saw another lady crossing the road, Kariba Gongwe, Sivyo. So people are laughing at her. So me, I ran to her and I held her hand. Then I asked her, Mom, what is wrong? She told me, my son, if I can count to you, the numbers running on my head here, you'll sympathize. I only had 1K. I gave her 1K because the problems were too many even for me to listen to. I told her, Mom, let me reduce your problem by 1,000 only. But what is killing people? Ukiona hata mtu amegongwa na gari. Bongena amegongwa na gari kwa sababu kuna bills kwa kichwa that you can't handle.
Prof, your last statement?
My last statement, Kenyans, let us be hopeful because I don't believe that I should be president so that I can solve these problems. I'm going to take this bill to the National Assembly in a few months from now. It must be passed before even before June it should be passed to create these jobs now. Because if we wait that we are going to solve our problems in 2027, it won't work. Economy is so urgent to wait for someone to come to office. I'm seeing some people say, now we are campaigning, we're doing formation. Mara, we are fighting over IBC. Who needs to be the chair? But the chair of IBC will be one person. Isn't it? With another 8 commissioners, there will be 9 people. 9 people are going to hire only 1,882 people. Those are the elected members in the whole country, isn't it? And they're going to spend 66 billion shillings to employ those people. Where are you, Kenyans? Your hope is not by looking at State House. Because they say in Psalms 129, isn't it? My hopes is in the name of the Lord who created the heaven and the earth. My help comes from the Lord who created the heaven and the earth. So don't look at State House. Just look at God. And this God is speaking to Fred Ogola, isn't it? And Fred Ogola has drafted the model and the bill. Let us take this thing to the National Assembly so that they accept. Because previously we rejected. Now we are going to push them to accept the bill. Once they accept the bill, we move our economy and put it back in our hands. Thank you.
What I can say is this, that he who say he knows the answer and he who says he doesn't know the answer when a question is asked, all of them are correct depending on the answer that they are going to give and the question that has been asked. Until we meet again in the next video, if it is possible, I have been your host, Boniface Owino. Bye-bye.